This podcast has been brought to you by rap-royalty.com, legendbeats.com, secondhandking.com, pornhub.com, www.youtube.com/faceoffbattleleague, and your mother's tits.
Yeah, I think I'm Ric Flair. What? Woo, I think I'm Ric Flair. Got a magneto, you ain't gripping lots of metal. Plus I am a cheat code, and I'm skipping all the levels. Ridiculous and flagrant, a meticulous sensation. A fish out of the water, trying to finish my vacation. In the words of Macho Man, oh yeah, I'm just too hot to handle.
Welcome everybody to the first official edition of the NDX podcast. My name is Alan Pie Snack. That's Pie Snack, and I'm here with my partner Vincent. How whatever you want to call yourself, Vince, Refractor.
I don't
also Slipe.
Like I don't. You just like you did your first and last name, and then you did like my
Vince
first.
Costa.
You
did I not say Costa?
You did my first name twice. Like my first name is Vinny, and my last name is Vincent. Interesting story. When I was in kindergarten. For a long time, well, not a long time, but when I was in kindergarten,
this already sounds uninteresting.
Fuck off. First of all, fuck off, because your intro was uninteresting. When I was in kindergarten, I thought my first and last name was Vinny Vincent, and I was heartbroken when I found out that it was Costa. So that's actually, it does apply.
Why would anybody name their kid Vinny Vin?
Dude, I was
That's
fucking,
like Vinny Bitchy, whatever.
I was 5 years old. First. Second point, fuck you.
I was a much more intelligent 5-year-old than you were.
You were. You're not. You don't even have the intellectual capacity of a 5-year-old now.
Okay, moving on. Yeah, moving on. So this is the podcast where we talk about anything and everything, video games, board games, hip-hop, rap battling, politics, chipmunk mating habits.
That's all you. Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit of a expert, a connoisseur, you might say. But we might even talk about rap-royalty.com, the hip-hop forum that rappers congregate and attempt to perfect their craft.
Nice plug.
I know. We actually met there. Just want to throw that out there. Rap-royalty.com. Plug again.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Oh yeah, he's right. We actually met on Grindr. I swiped right. He sent me a message that said DTF ? And yeah.
And we talked about doing a podcast for a while, so here we are.
Yeah, well, we have talked about doing it for like maybe a couple months now, maybe longer than that. I think we were talking about doing it like a year ago, and we just never did. So, Bucky, here's the first edition of the NDX podcast. My name, again, is Alan, and this is my partner, Vicky Guerrero.
Fuck off.
And speaking of, that's a good segue right there. Our first episode will be, I guess, themed around wrestling. There's a lot of interesting things that have been going on in the WWE lately. For example, the draft. We had Vince tell his two kin. Is that correct? Does kin have to be like brother and sister, or can that be like daughter and?
It's any family.
Okay.
Yeah.
He told his kin that I'm gonna give Shane SmackDown, I'm gonna give Stephanie Raw, and whoever does the best will get the keys to the kingdom, the magical, the WWE universe as they call it.
Yeah.
Allegedly, they're coming out with the cruiserweight division. I've yet to see anything cruiserweight, as far as Raw or SmackDown are concerned. But they have come out with the CWC, kind of jumping around a bit. But how do you feel about the CWC? Who do you think's going to win? Who do you think?
Honestly, I have high hopes for it. I think it's a really great initiative. It's really great to see them pull a lot of that indie talent, especially, the WWE's had that whole anti-vanilla midget thing for such a long fucking time, so this is really great.
They still had that. There's never going to be a point where like somebody like Rey Mysterio really gets over. Rey Mysterio has to put in like 30 years of work and then revolutionize the industry, and he'll still get like a 5-month run. He was
over. He was at a point where he didn't even need a belt to be over.
You know, and that's the thing, is that you can be over and the fucking company can still be completely against pushing you. I mean, look at a guy like Rollins who was fucking white hot, and they sent trips out to just bury him, you know, in the Rumble because they wanted to push Reigns. But that was a dude that had earned his you know, his status with the fans. I think you got a lot of dudes that are small guys that get way fucking over, and it really doesn't matter how big of a boner Vince has for the dudes that are fucking 7 foot tall and jacked up on roids. Like, if I had to pick somebody to win, I don't know. I really don't know creatively what they want to do. Zack Sabre Jr. I would have to say it should be some kind of favorite. I think the torch from Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever, is pretty much
Bryan Daniel.
Well, that's his real name.
Okay.
Brian, he was known as the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
From now on, I will be known as Pie Snack Allen, and you'll be known as Benny Vincent.
His real name is Bryan Danielson, you fuck. Like,
yeah.
Daniel Bryan. Anyway, in any case, before
I was reverting our names.
I'm gonna. Well, all right. So my name is Pie Snack Allen. How about Pie Snack Allenson? For the rest of the podcast, your name is Pie Snack Allenson.
Okay.
That's it. Just fucking ring the bell right there.
Okay.
But no, I think Sabre Jr. is kind of taking the torch from Daniel Bryan. So he's a favorite of mine to win. I loved him in the Battle of Los Angeles. He was fantastic. I know you haven't seen that. You need to see it.
Well, actually, you know who I've seen getting pushed a lot is Kota Ibushi, who's already made his NXT debut. He already, I think he was already into the 3rd round. I could be wrong. I know he at least made it to the 2nd round, but they seem to be pushing him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's a phenomenal performer too, so that does not surprise me at all. What did he just have a match with Buddy Murphy, I think, on NXT, and that ended up being pretty dope. So
I mean, can we just be real about the fact that, okay, if a lot of these people that are like Japanese, or not even just Japanese, but like foreign wrestlers, you know, it could be anywhere, if they don't speak English, they don't have the ability to, you know, present themselves on the mic the way that any English speaking, you know, person can to an English audience. That's obviously, you know, most of the WWE universe. So when you see guys that are talented like Tajiri, you know, in the ring, they're never going to get over as far as like actual, you know, wrestling is 2 parts. You know, one part is like how well you do in the ring, but number 2, like, why should I care about you? Why should I want you to win the match or lose the match or whatever? That's like 80% of the battle, you know what I mean? So when I see guys like, you know, like even Shinsuke, you know, I don't have any investment in them because they're not, you know, showing me their personality at all.
I don't know, dude. I get it, because I love a really good performer that can get on the mic and it can really work the crowd. But I mean, I think that there's a place for a lot of foreign wrestlers, and like the skill. And
there's a place for them, but that place is like in the middle card or the bottom card. I mean, like when you look at like Kai and Tai back when they did like the voiceovers and shit, that was funny, but that's all they were. They were like they're comedic relief.
But you don't think that like somebody like Jushin Liger could just walk into the WWE and just be immediately super fucking white hot over, despite the fact that he's not going to be the best mic worker? I mean, I disagree. I think if you look at his match at NXT, they tore the house down. There are, or look at fucking like Taka Michinoku. If they're bringing in people that can't work the mic well, but they know they can fucking work, and the fans are going to support it, they've got to try to find a way to get these guys in the main event without having to have them cut promos. I mean, I think there are ways around that, especially when there's fucking 3 hours of programming. I mean, first of all, that's just that's unnecessary. Is Raw still 3 hours?
Yep.
Is it still, but SmackDown's 2 hours, right?
Yep.
That's a fucking problem. Like, you have to cut down the programming, for Christ's sakes, one.
But like, look at like fucking back when, you know, this is about like actually finding people that can really fucking cut promos. But like when you had like people like The Rock and Mankind, when they teamed up, they did a fucking, what was it, like 30-40 minute promo or something like that, you know, the years of your life and shit, and it was the highest rated you know, segment that SmackDown ever had, and it was fucking phenomenal, and it took forever, you know what I mean? That's a fucking 40-minute promo. That's crazy.
There's a big part of that probably comes down to the creative direction that the WWE was in back then versus now. How much, you know, they write promos for their guys now and expect a lot of these guys to just go out there and say whatever.
I was watching a episode of Ride Along with New Day. They basically, I mean, it seems to me like what they do is if you are considered a good worker, like New Day obviously is, they're incredibly over. They had been for a while. Apparently, like if you get yourself over with creative, they'll let you do whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. That makes.
But if you suck, you know, if you're Roman Reigns, no, you're gonna say what the fuck they tell you to because you.
That's the thing is that. Like when you used Roman Reigns as an example, I would.
That is my go-to for a terrible mic worker because.
Well, yeah, but he's also. But that's the thing. He's also a terrible ring worker. He is a terrible worker all around. I mean, I know your opinion on the Balor Reigns match, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And you thought it was a good match. I
definitely don't think that Reigns is a good wrestler, but he had a good match.
You can get carried, and you know you can. There's flashes of brilliant. I mean, I'm sure Triple H has had some. He's had good matches in his career, but he's not somebody that I would consider a good in-ring worker. And Reigns isn't a good in-ring worker.
I wouldn't say he's not great, but I would say good isn't above what he's worth. You know
what? Triple H?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say he's okay. I'd say he's mediocre.
Okay.
I think he's experienced. He's experienced, so he's gonna know the basics. And I think with the right person, he's gonna have really good matches. Back to the point, I hate using Reigns as an example because he fucking sucks all around. If we're talking about foreign wrestlers that can't work the mic, they need to have the chops in terms of how they work in the ring. It's got to be there. If it's not, there's nothing for you. But if they have the chops in the ring to have a good match, to tell the story, because you don't need to fucking know English to tell a story in the ring. You don't. It just point blank period. There is no debate about that. If they can tell the fucking story in the ring, at that point, if there's a demand for it, if the fans appreciate it, it is up to the company to say, how do we position this person in the right fashion? And I think that they can do that with Shinsuke, but what I do really think from a business standpoint is that they're trying to ease these guys in to see if they can learn more English.
I mean, I've looked at, Shinsuke as far as NXT. He walked in, he was already over. But that's the whole point, is that you're not selling to those people. You're selling to the people that don't watch independents. You know what I mean? You got plenty of people in NXT that love, Shinsuke, but they only like him because, he has, this reputation of being a great a great in-ring worker, which I, don't fully agree with. I think he's okay. I don't, if we're talking about, Triple H being mediocre, I don't think, Shinsuke is much more than mediocre.
I'm going to slap the shit all the way out of you, dude. I'm gonna you do not no, there is no comparison between their body of work, dude. Like there's miles between them. Shinsuke is way better. Also something to keep in mind is that the WWE's style of wrestling is an adjustment coming from a New Japan or even from the Indies. I mean, Jesus Christ, they had to tell AJ to slow down, because he was just, his first couple matches, he's just fucking flying all over the place and not really pacing himself. WWE is
what are you comparing that to? I mean, Shinsuke is fucking slow as hell in the ring. I mean, it's so much more drawn out. Like,
yeah, but the dude has technique. And I mean, that's the thing. I don't know how much of a value you place on storytelling in the ring, and how nuanced you see things are. I mean, like I was watching a match that he had with Jericho, and I mean we were talking earlier before we started the podcast about how like you didn't really feel that Shinsuke's selling was that great, and just watching him sell the turnover into the walls. He wasn't doing the lion tamer. It was fantastic. I mean, it was shades of Michaels almost the form was one and the same.
I see it in his face. I don't see it in his body language.
I didn't see his in the match I was watching. I didn't see his face, but it was all in the body language. It was a lot like Michael's. I mean, Shinsuke is not. He doesn't have that crazy build, you know. You see him in the ring, and he's not like the most physically impressive person on the fucking planet. But his technique is fantastic.
But what I look for in general is, I enjoy matches where, number one, I want to see some moves that I haven't seen before. I haven't seen a lot of that with Shinsuke. I'm not saying that he doesn't have any moves, but he does a lot of knee lifts. He does a lot of fucking, he punches people. He's striking, but that's very fucking cliche. Nothing about that is new. Nothing about that's different. And even I will admit that his kicks look effective, but I don't think his punching at all looks effective at all. Like when I watch him, I feel like he's like hitting a pillow. That it's just not. It's not doing it for me. What really bothered me, and I'll admit I've only seen a couple, like maybe 4 or 5 matches from Shinsuke. The first time I saw him was his debut with Sami Zayn, and the first thing they did was they traded punches like 30 times, 30 fucking punches to start the match off, and they were the slowest fucking ineffective looking punches I've ever seen in my life. And immediately I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is not good wrestling. This is not good television.
Well, I mean, then you're a Spot Monkey fan. That's...
No, not even that. It doesn't have to be spots. I like a guy like Undertaker right now does not do spots at all. He's old. He doesn't do many spots, but he's still a good wrestler. I can watch, somebody like, or even like Brock Lesnar doesn't do a lot of spots. He does like suplexes and shit. I can even watch, because I know you're gonna like this example, Saber. I can even watch, Saber and be like, okay, he's doing a lot of impressive technical stuff. His reversals, I like that. He sells well, but when I watch Shinsuke, none of that is fucking entertaining to me. It's just very fucking boring.
I mean, you just brought up Brock Lesnar, so I just want to fucking punch you in the fucking... I want to punch a hole through your stomach. Like, I can't stand Brock Lesnar, dude.
I'm not saying he's a great wrestler. I'm just saying that I'm not necessarily prone to watch people that just do fucking spots. I mean, I'm not that high on fucking luchador wrestling. I like Shawn Michaels. I think Shawn Michaels is an excellent performer in ring. Even like when he got old, he wasn't doing as many spots as he used to do. And if anything, Shawn Michaels back when he was young used to do a lot of fucking spots, but he still kept that technical ability. Not even technical ability, just the ability to sell so fucking well. If you threw him into the ropes, he would do a fucking flip. You know what I mean? It was crazy just watching him fucking sell anything. And it was also believable. I mean, it was a little bit comical, but it was just like, I don't see that out of Shinsuke. I don't see any of that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't really know what you want. I mean, I guess it's gonna have to be a matter of agree to disagree, because I think that match that he had with Sami Zayn was fucking phenomenal, dude. You got people that are talking about that match being like one of the greatest of the modern era.
All right, agree to your shitty opinion. Anyway, moving on.
Fuck you, first of all, because you've never even you never saw Nakamura and AJ wrestle in NJPW. This is a guy that has so many 5-star matches under his belt.
But what is the objective, qualifier for what a 5-star match is? I mean, other than people just like fucking buying into it.
I mean, it's not the people that decide a 5-star rating. That's Meltzer that's deciding that. And this is like a hotly debated topic. I know some people just want to just trash Meltzer, but this is a guy that has been watching and writing and following wrestling and has been rating matches that go back as far as the 60s, the fucking 60s. And if you were to just take a look at the list of matches that qualify for 5-star or even qualify for 4.5 stars or 4-star matches, you're gonna, if you were to, let's say you're a very casual wrestling fan, and I'm just going to pretend that you are because you have the opinion of a casual wrestling fan.
I'll admit I'm a pretty casual fan. I'm not claiming to be hardcore by any means.
If you're a casual wrestling fan, right, and you're really big on the names that kind of get shoved down your throat, and that's fine. That is your prerogative, and I'm not going to take that away from you. Because we have a mutual love for wrestling, and that's great. But if I was trying to usher you in to the world of like pure strong style wrestling, or really like open your eyes to the heritage and really let you see like what good work is about, I'd direct you straight to that list. Just look at some of the stuff I don't know if you've ever seen the AJ Christopher Daniels Samoa Joe triple threat that was in TNA.
Nah.
That was you need to go watch that. That's a fucking fantastic match. That was the one, I believe, where that was where the spot started coming in, where they were doing like double superplexes basically. So you've got Bret Hart and Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13 was a 5-star match. Did you ever see that one? The one it was.
I did see that, but I definitely wouldn't call it a 5-star match.
What? I mean,
Austin
that had the double turn, you dumb. That had the double turn. Oh, you're making me sick to my stomach, dude. I can't believe you. That had the double turn. Okay, I mean, heading back to your regularly scheduled programming, I guess, Balor versus Reigns just happened, right?
I thought it was a great match. I mean, to be fair, yeah, Balor kind of, carried it in a way, but I mean, they both did well. I thought it was a good match, and I don't say that very often about Reigns. I don't think his ring work is very good. I don't think his mic work is very good, but I'm a big fan of Balor, by the way. I mean, like, not only is he's a good ring technician, he's got a great look to him, and he has a phenomenal intro, which I think is something that doesn't get enough credit, really. Yeah, there's ring work, there's mic work, but a really good, I won't say every, but almost every great superstar has had a fucking great intro, great, entrance, like The Undertaker or The Rock, or the Triple H, people that are considered, I would go as far as to say maybe like Ric Flair, HBK definitely did.
Speaking of Ric Flair, just to cut you off, did you hear about his thoughts on, from his podcast on the Balor Reigns match?
No, what did he say?
He said, I guess he said that he thought Roman should have won. Just to go into the specific quote, he said, "I thought Roman should have won, and I know Finn Balor to say hi only. I'm a big fan of Roman Reigns, and I'll be honest with you, Finn Balor reminds me of the Dynamite Kid. Does that make sense? They're very similar in appearance, same kind of work, and I mean, he's a great performer. God, I'm certainly not taking anything away from his performance or the match, but I'm a fan of Roman Reigns, so I'm saying something that I'm partial about. I think Roman to me is one of the greatest looks in the professional business. He's as handsome as he can be. He speaks well." The fuck out of here. He got his self-confidence back. He's been through some ups and downs, which we all go through in life, but I mean, I'm just a big fan of his. That doesn't take anything away from Finn Balor, and where I see Dolph against as being huge at SummerSlam, I see that as being a bigger match than to see Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. I just think that Seth has got too much experience, and like I said before about Randy, Seth Rollins is the second Randy Orton. He's that good. I guess he goes on in this podcast to say that he thinks Balor's too small. He says, "If I'm looking at what's going to draw money, what I would pay to see, I would pay to see Dolph against Ambrose before I'd pay to see Finn Balor against Seth Rollins. So I think it's phenomenal. I think Finn Balor is great too. I just think you've got a legitimate heavyweight in Seth Rollins, a legitimate heavyweight in Roman Reigns, and I don't think we'll ever see the day, and I could be totally wrong, you are, that a cruiserweight will ever main event a WrestleMania, and that's what you have to look at. I think in the total picture of the business, he's of that size. I mean, if you look at the two of them side by side, he's got a great physique, gosh, but he's smaller. Yeah, I don't think he weighs 200 pounds. What are your thoughts on that?"
First of all, Ric Flair is a fucking moron, and I say that with all due respect, because I love Flair. I've always loved Flair. Like, growing up, I used to fucking idolize the shit out of Flair. But honestly, like, he's old, he's delusional, and in general, just like, that's what I was saying earlier, is that, like, if you grew up in, like, the older era of, wrestling, you have a different outlook and, perception on what, a wrestler should be, That's why you have people like Vince McMahon who are so fucking, hard on for these guys that are 8 feet tall and 240 pounds of muscle. Well, that's probably not even that. That's probably like your width as far as muscle is concerned. But like, let's say 340 pounds of muscle and 8 feet tall. But no. But getting back to the point, no, I mean, like, here's the thing. I almost agree with one thing that he said, which is that I think that Reigns should have won that match, because it makes no sense at all to me that you're going to bring Balor in and you're just going to catapult him into the main event. And for what? What are they going to do? I mean, here's one of two scenarios. Number one, Balor gets a fucking title, you know, the quote-unquote universal title, or he loses the fucking match, which I think is probably going to happen based on everything that I've, you know, seen from WWE within the last couple months. Balor is probably going to end up losing to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is going to get the title. And what the fuck was any of that for? Why are you pushing Balor over Reigns, over these people, in order to fucking get him into a title match and then have him lose the fucking match? Finn Balor lost to Samoa Joe like twice, but for some reason Samoa Joe stays in NXT. Finn Balor moves on, and then he goes on to beat Roman Reigns. But they still call, the announcers anyway, they call Raw the big leagues. But for some reason, Finn Balor had just beat the fucking, you know, the guy that they're trying to tell you is the greatest fucking wrestler in Raw, Roman Reigns, but he lost to Samoa Joe in NXT. How does that make any fucking sense whatsoever?
It makes tons of sense.
How?
This is the natural progression of NXT. A lot of times the people that get pushed up will drop the belt. Sasha did that. She dropped the belt to Bayley and then left. She got called up.
I get that they have to get rid of the belt.
There's no, you have to be the only person that has that fucking dog shit opinion. I don't know.
What are you fucking talking about, dude?
So what do you think? Do you think that they need to be in NXT and they need to be the king, and then they just drop the belt and they just get called up to the big leagues? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
If you're gonna call it the big leagues, then the big leagues need to be better. If you see some guy in the fucking minor leagues of baseball or football or any other fucking sport, if they move up into the quote-unquote big leagues, they're not gonna fucking just like...
I think first of all, I think what we have to do is we need to detox your ridiculous obsession with the Attitude Era and get it out of your system. One. And
it's not my obsession, it's everybody's obsession.
It's
Even Vince is obsessed with the Attitude Era much that right now they are doing a brand split, and they're completely basing it off of the Attitude Era. They have released video games based on the Attitude Era. They have released not NXT, fucking WWE Universe, WWE Network, fucking programs are all centered around the Attitude Era. That is all they try to sell, because that is the fucking golden age of wrestling. It's not just me. It's a fucking widespread phenomenon.
But it's not. And I think the fans are a lot smarter than that. You just haven't caught up to them yet. You're still a really dumb fan. I mean, I don't get it. You're upset that the people getting called up from NXT are dropping the belt to people. I mean, that is really not that problematic.
There are different ways to drop the belt. You don't have to drop the belt by losing it.
So how else do they drop the belt? They have to forfeit it. So by your logic, every person that gets called up just forfeits the title.
Not every person, but if you're gonna take somebody like Finn Balor and then catapult him to the fucking main event like that, then yeah, you should fucking make an exception for him. If you're gonna look at somebody like Kevin Owens, who has actually had to work in the mid card,
do you look at? Okay, all right, we have to actually deconstruct this a little bit. So, first of all, Reigns is not a good worker. Balor is a good worker. Yeah, second of all, when they called Balor up from NXT, yes, okay, he loses to Samoa Joe, okay, but
twice.
Okay. So here's the first thing for you though. Losing to Samoa Joe does not devalue Finn Balor's stock. Simply by virtue of the fact that Samoa Joe, in his own right, is a fucking legend. So if you lose to Samoa Joe in the main event, not only... Sure, he lost to him twice, but did Balor defend his title against Samoa Joe? He defended it at a TakeOver, if I'm not mistaken. He fought Samoa Joe and defended it. So he is a credible champion of the NXT title. First and foremost, so one, you have Balor as an established NXT champion. He drops it to a guy who has put in work against former WWE champions, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, has a 5-star match with CM Punk in Ring of Honor. Samoa Joe is a household name out of TNA, as much so as AJ is. So if Finn Balor loses a match to Samoa Joe, it does not drop his stock. He walks into the WWE because at this point, the majority of your smart fans expect this. They anticipate the call-up for him. He shows up, and he doesn't get immediately thrown into a title match. He has to fight Roman Reigns, right? So
That's still immediate. It's his first debut.
So
he beats the guy that they are considering the fucking guy.
So that he's not the guy anymore. He's not the guy anymore. You're the guy when you hold the belt. If you have to pick Reigns or Balor to chase the belt from a fucking amazing heel like Rollins, who's the guy you're gonna pick? Just one or the other. You're gonna pick Balor or you're gonna pick Reigns?
There's a difference between personal opinion and what makes sense logically as far as the WWE universe is considered.
Okay, what's your opinion?
My opinion is that I would rather see Balor, of course, but that's not the point.
But logically, you think that Reigns is the better option?
Yes, because he's already been pushed that way.
But he's getting booed out of the building, you dumbass. He's getting booed out of the building.
Yes, he is, and that means that WWE needs to push him as a fucking heel. That's their fault for not pushing him as a heel. They want to face so badly that they're gonna just fucking discard Roman Reigns, but they can turn him into a heel.
So what they need to do is they need to take Roman Reigns, and I mean I don't disagree with you that he should be a heel, but you think that instead of taking a talented worker and having him work with another talented worker, they should take an untalented worker, flip his gimmick, and push him more, even though the fans can't stand him. And you think
it's not about pushing him more. It's that they've already done that work. They made him the fucking champion. This is a guy that beat Brock Lesnar, and Lesnar has only lost to like 4 different people, like 5 fucking people. So how many people has Brock Lesnar really lost to?
So what they should do is they should just double down on their shitty decisions that they've made before.
They've already gone too far. They already went to the point where there's no return. They could have given up on Reigns months ago, but they didn't, and that's the point. If you're gonna fucking go, you might as well fucking ride it out at this point.
Just because they made the choices before doesn't mean that they can't finally turn around and say, okay, yeah, maybe we just need to take our foot off the gas and take a look at the rest of these talented guys that we've got and rely on them.
But okay, fair enough. If we say that much, it doesn't have to be Balor. It could be somebody else. You can take somebody like Kevin Owens and push him, because Kevin Owens has actually put in the work that Balor has not, as far as being in the WWE is concerned.
Against a heel? I don't disagree. I think Owens should get the push, but the thing is that you would, from a logical standpoint, he would be having a program with another heel. He'd be having a program with Rollins.
You can turn him. It's not that hard to turn him.
Turn who face? Who are you going to turn face?
Owens.
No.
Owens is already over. Even if he's a heel, people still fucking like him enough. You like him.
I like him as a heel.
Happy to see fucking Owens as a face. Come on, don't lie.
No, I like him. I like him better. I think it makes much more sense for him to stay a heel. And if you take Owens, who is a phenomenal he's just a fucking fantastic heel, don't flip him to a face. It just doesn't make sense. Yes, he's over, and he would probably be over as a face, just like CM Punk was over as a face, but he's so much better as a heel, and he's so much better as a heel when he's got the strap and someone's chasing him. So if you take 2 really good heels, Rollins and Owens, and you put them in a program together, and you flip one as a face, you're losing out. Whereas if you take Balor, who's an established face, and you make him the hunter, because that is a great role for the face to follow, is to be the hunter, and you have him go against Rollins, who is great as the hunted and is a fantastic heel and the right person to stick the belt on, it's a win-win. If you put Reigns in there and you flip him to a heel, which is what you think they should do, it's a heel that has no in-ring skills and can't work the mic against another heel who is going to carry him.
Why would put him against Rollins, though? That's the thing.
So then who are you going to get
a heel against Rollins?
So now you are completely in fucking La La Land.
But no, because the thing is, Seth Rollins is not the champion. There's no reason that he has to be the contender.
So
other than the fact that WWE really likes him.
So now we're going to take Rollins out of the picture, and we're going to take Balor out of the picture. We're going to throw Reigns in there, and we're going to find somebody else, and we're going to have a whole new program. That's your way of looking at it? You have fucking,
doesn't
you
even
are,
have to be like that.
you
Look,
are
look.
fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Do you not realize how fucking lost you are in the fucking boonies, and how your quest to find something that makes logical sense from a business standpoint has just completely fucked everything else up? It's so much easier to just say, it's not Reigns' time anymore. We fucked up. He's just not the guy. Let's pull off on the gas. Balor's riding a hot streak coming out of NXT. Phenomenal matches. Everybody loves him. He's a great guy to put as a face. He's super over. Let's put him in a program with Rollins. Yeah, he's getting pushed into a title match, but is he going to win it? No, he's probably not going to win it, and Rollins is, and that makes sense because Rollins is an established
why does
champion.
that make sense though? Why would you just take some guy who has never had a match before? He barely even cut a promo. I mean, he had like 5 seconds where he was talking to Shane McMahon. He was like, I'm Irish. We invented luck, and that's it. And then that's the whole promo. He didn't do anything other than just have 2 matches. One of them was great. One of them, I don't like 4-ways. I mean, they had a 4-way match. But the point being that, hold up, I got a random message on Facebook from my girlfriend who was listening to our conversation, and he said, I don't like 4-ways, definitely thought you were getting sexual. I thought I'd throw that in there. But
yeah, thanks, bro.
I completely lost my train of thought now. The thing is that they don't have any good faces anymore. Here's the thing.
Well,
it's a
I
lot
guess it's
easier.
Balor's time.
Look. It's a lot easier to be a good heel than it is to be a good face. Can we agree on that? I think it's a lot easier to make people hate you than it is to make them like you. What the fuck? Come on. Look at it this way: if you're just in terms of the matchup, not even just mic skills, but if you're having a match, all you got to do to be a fucking heel is cheat. All you got to do is like gouge their eyes or distract them for a moment or do something, and instantly you have heat. I mean, at least what people consider to be heat. You don't actually have to do anything impressive.
That's actually really hard, though. Like, it may not look technically impressive to you, but a lot of that actually requires a lot of timing and communication between the two. And if you're utilizing...
What, did you go to fucking wrestling school? You probably did.
I've watched wrestling for a really long time, and I've
I mean, I have too, casually, fair enough.
Yeah, but you're a fucking dickhead, so, I mean,
Moving on.
So moving on off of that, everybody.
What I've heard is that that Bailey and Sasha are going to be they've already arranged to have them face each other at WrestleMania. So Sasha is now the women's champion, and Bailey will somehow get incorporated into that.
That'll be fantastic.
I think it will. No, I really do. I like Sasha and I like Bailey. I do not like Charlotte. Sorry, I just don't.
Either way, I think the women's division has a lot of really great talent, so I think they've come a long way from...
I do agree with that. I like Osaka, and I like Bailey. I like Sasha. I think there's a lot of potential coming out of the women's division. But
speaking of Sasha, Road Warrior Animal apparently had a little tweet about Sasha Banks and was basically saying that WWE is forcing her down people's throats, because I guess she showed up on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, and he was like, let these people get themselves over. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, why wasn't he saying that about Roman Reigns?
Because
that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you're gonna pinpoint Sasha of all people.
It sounds like he's got some fucking internalized misogynism in him.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think Sasha is great on her own. With
she's also fucking super over, so he needs to shut the fuck up.
Right. But no, I mean, I think Sasha and Bailey would be a great feud.
Yeah. In other news, the new Raw and SmackDown logos look like dog shit.
I saw the Raw one. I didn't really notice a difference in the SmackDown one. I'd have to relook at it, but
dude, it looks like somebody took the old logos and here's what they did, because NXT's done it Full Sail. Somebody from Full Sail, this was their introductory Photoshop course. And they were like, "Oh yeah, okay, so do the Raw and SmackDown logo," and somebody just like really quick grabbed a font and threw that shit on a red background and did the same thing with this. It took all the textures and all the the professionalism out of it, and then just gave that shit over to Vince. And Vince, who, I don't know, he must have cataracts, he must be going blind because he's fucking old as dick,
And he's just like, yeah, use that. That's great. And make sure you put live and SmackDown so that everybody knows that it's not fucking pre-taped anymore. And that's what they did. And the Full Sail guy probably didn't get paid. He probably just got credit.
They probably gave him like $20.
They gave him like an A. Like, oh, congratulations, you aced your final and it's gonna be on the show. I don't know, man. I'm all for simplified aesthetics, but seriously, I feel like you could have done this on your old.
I could have.
You could have done this. Like, you probably.
You see my graphic work. My graphic work is on point, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, honestly, I feel like you need to just email. You need to email whoever's in Connecticut and just say, look, dude, like, that Full Sail guy.
I will just send them the words Raw in Times New Roman in blank black font, and they'll be like, this is fucking genius.
Dude, I'm telling you, I swear to God, the Raw logo looks like somebody just typed it in fucking Verdana and bolded it with an underline, blew it up, and then put it on like a red background. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. And the SmackDown one... okay, so because it just drives me crazy. Take the SmackDown logo, the old one, send it over to China, and basically let a Chinese person do it, and they sell it for like it's like a discount version. It's like the Chinese Pokemon Go.
What else?
It's fucking terrible. It's like when McDonald do you remember Mighty Max? Do you remember Mighty Max? Yeah. Okay, so Mighty Max was like the toy to have in the 90s. And then McDonald's did its Mighty Max promotion, and they were doing Mighty Max toy. You remember, like, the Mighty Max toy was like a little compact thing you opened up and it had the little miniature figures, and you did everything in that little box. Like, the McDonald's did it, and it was awful. It was elephant diarrhea.
What does this have to do with wrestling?
It's the same thing. It's taking a good logo and then just saying, water this shit down, but put the word live in it. I just don't understand. And I'm cool with trimmed down aesthetics, man. You know me, I think clean lines and simple as possible, but this just looks bad. It looks amateur.
But on the topic of graphics, did you see the CWC graphics? I thought they were actually really good. I mean, there were parts I don't like. Some of it looked a little cheesy, but in general, the whole theme of like Street Fighter, the whole thing they had going on really looked good to me. I thought that was really interesting.
I like the style, dude. I love the way that they dim the lights. It's not overly flashy. You've got the different the national flags for the competitors. As they've been introducing them. I love the CWC logo with the WWE in the center. I mean, it's just really simple. I like it. It's diverse. It sets itself apart from SmackDown and Raw, but it's got credibility to it. It's not like, it's very different from like Velocity and fucking Heat when they were doing that bullshit.
Here's an odd question for you. Do you think that the WWE Network will ever outdo WWE? Will outdo Raw, outdo SmackDown? Obviously things like CWC have caught on, NXT have caught on, and they've grown in terms of fan base. But do you ever think that it'll get bigger than the main programming, or at least what they consider to be the main programming?
So you're talking about like really like NXT, basically? Is that what you're? Is that?
Not necessarily. It could be anything. It could be a new program that hasn't even happened yet. On the WWE Network.
I mean, I'm not a Nielsen rating expert. I think we could probably pull Nielsen numbers pretty fast and see like what Raw and SmackDown do, but I don't know if Nielsen tracks like streaming content. So I don't know if anything's gonna ever exceed Raw and SmackDown just because of USA's visibility.
Another interesting point, though, I mean, I've heard about the fact that they have to, conform to the not WWE, but to USA, to whatever their standards of television is. The fact that they have to become a family-friendly show, which isn't really what I grew up with. I definitely epitomize, I idealized the Attitude Era, but back then, it was a lot more, profanity, a lot more scantily clad women, and just, no, I'm just saying that's what it was back then, and now they don't really. And even then, like, there was a time when they would just like try to do anything to be outlandish, which was
Right.
kind of deplorable. You know, a time when like they're just like touching on every topic of like necrophilia, incest, and all kinds of. That's what they fucking did. You know, anything that they could come. Anything fucking, you know, disgusting they tried to come up with, and they tried to do it for shock value. But here's the point, getting back to like the WWE network, if they can remove themselves from USA, if they can remove themselves from television, they can once again control their program to do it however they want to. Do you think they will ever take that direction again where they try to, I mean, for better or worse, it could be, you know, Mark Henry trying to fuck, you know, Mae Young's corpse. It could be it could be that, or it could just be, you know, a little bit more swearing, a little bit more profanity, more, you know, drinking beer and, you know, just being a dickwad, you know, whatever it is.
I hope that if they were to move it to the network entirely and have full control, that they would not change. I don't think that they would change the model that much, because there's still a lot of kids that go to those live shows. So maybe they'd be a little bit more liberal, but I like it when they try to keep wrestling. I like it when it has that really good balance of them looking at it as a professional sport and with a storyline. I'm not saying that, you know, they need to fucking, you know, eat their vitamins and say their prayers. We can really move away from the fucking bullshit necrophilia styles. That stuff is corny. On the other hand, one of the highest rated segments was fucking Edge and Lita having, I guess, sex.
I was gonna mention that, but yeah,
fucking stupid. But
you know, I actually I looked it up, and apparently there was like a nipple slip thing going on in that, and they censored it from live TV. I did find the actual link. I'll send it to you later.
I don't need that.
That's a damn lie.
I don't need that.
That is a goddamn lie.
I don't need to see.
I know like the 13-year-old you is like screaming for that right now.
I mean, like, dude, there's like, you can see pictures of like some of those people have done like the Playboy spreads and stuff, dude. I don't need to see Lita's crusty ass nipple, dude. I'm good, but it would make sense to me if they took it straight to the network. If they took everything to the network and they took full control of the product, that would make sense. If they stay on USA, that makes sense to me too. So I really don't. It doesn't matter to me. If they take it straight to the network, my only hope is that they can kind of continue to go in the direction that they're going. I mean, NXT is on the network, and they haven't done fucking anything crazy stupid, and I hope that they just continue to do that. Because if they get everything to the network and they're just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna be fucking crazy, and, you know, fucking, you know, we're gonna have matches, and, you know, people are gonna be whipping their dicks out and rubbing them in peanut butter. Like, if they do shit like that because it's on the network now, count me out, dude. I'm done.
Yeah, at that point they're just fucking copying TNA, and nobody wants to see that. So
yeah, but TNA is your favorite wrestling federation, so.
Hey, fuck that. I don't even watch TNA.
I thought you were watching the Matt Hardy. Have you been watching the Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy stuff?
I haven't been watching it, but I've seen people post shit on Facebook,
It's
and I
so
can't help
bad.
but to watch it. It looks absolutely terrible.
Yeah, people are saying it's good
They
because
both
it's
look like they're
terrible.
fucking on drugs at this point. I don't know what the hell's going on with either of them.
Yeah, so TNA is like adopted is trying to like do the telenovela style that Lucha Underground is you know, does really well, and
But Lucha Underground has production value. They look like they're shooting that shit on flip phones.
notice
man.
notice I said trying. I said trying. I didn't say that they're doing it well, but yeah, they're trying to do it, and it's not paying off.
What the fuck happened to TNA, man?
happened to Matt
Not that
Hardy,
they were
dude?
ever that great to begin with, but
Matt Hardy is on a literal downward spiral, no pun intended. After fucking Lita cheated on him. Yeah, fuck TNA.
nah, man, I don't know. I mean, like the way what do you see? Who do you think is gonna, you know, be the upcoming face of WWE? I mean, when you really think about it, even the people that we have right now, I'm not that confident in any of them. I like Balor.
Yeah.
I like Ambrose, but he's just not as good as what I want from like the top guy. You know, he's not that interesting. There's nobody right now that really like feels like a Rock or Mankind or Stone Cold or HBK. I would even go as far as to say Triple H. I mean, I don't feel that star power from anybody. I think CM Punk had that for a while, and then obviously, they split ways. I'm a big fan of Enzo. I think Enzo, if he went solo, would have a lot of potential if they used him right, but I don't know that they ever will.
I think you like you're a big Mike guy, because
absolutely.
That's the Attitude Era in you, though. Don't get me wrong. I love really good promos. I thought HBK
I think at the core of it all, though, is that like Mike's skills really make me want to like somebody. Yeah, they tell that story in the ring in wrestling, and that's part of what makes them. But I think the Mike skills are a bigger part of that.
So you would put Mike's skills over. You'd put Mike's skills over in-ring ability.
I wouldn't say over, but I think if you have, great mic skills and decent ring work ability, then yeah, I think, you have the potential to be like a top guy. Throwing this out there, I mean, I was and still am, and I'm glad to see that that Kendrick is back in the CWC. But I loved the Brian Kendrick back. He had great mic skills, and he's a great in-ring performer. He's a phenomenal in-ring performer. So he has everything, and that's one of those people. Also, like MVP, I was a big mark for, and they never pushed. I like Kennedy, and I guess some people don't really like him. As far as like in-ring performance. I think he's one of the people that was great on the mic and okay in the ring, but a lot of people that I really wish that WWE would push never really pushed them.
Yeah, I mean, I love a great promo too. I could get behind either or I mean, it's great when you can find somebody that can do both. I don't know how much like the WWE will hold somebody back sometimes too, because I think Ambrose could do it. I think he could cut a solid promo. I just don't know if they're really giving him that ability to get out there and do that. He really does have that Mick Foley quality to me.
I think Mick had more charisma. That's really what sold me on Mick, man. It's just like, I don't get that out of, like, not even that, just like the conviction. I mean, I don't get that out of Ambrose. When you have people that talk, they don't fucking sound confident in themselves. They come out and they're really boring. They're monotonous. They're like, oh, I'm going to find him. I'm going to beat him up. And then I'm going to kill him. And there's nothing. Even when you had like people that were like Macho Man Randy Savage that were crazy over the top, it kind of worked. I mean, given the environment.
Well, I love
what?
I love the Macho Man's promos.
Yeah, I mean, but he's a little out there, though. I mean, and so was the Warrior. I mean, made no sense whatsoever. But they did it with so much conviction that even if he's talking about the light of the moon and the stars, the shit like that Warrior would say that made no sense whatsoever.
It's but then you know what though? I think it's how do I say? Like, I think we have to move into a different style of promo now. Is actually what needs to happen. So, like, a lot of people like, here's my unpopular opinion. I like Enzo and Cass. I do. And the promos are okay. He cuts an Attitude Era promo. He is cutting an Attitude Era promo when he walks out.
What's wrong with that, though? It works. It gets them over. And I do think they're a little bit repetitive. I think, it gets really tired.
It's over. And okay, I'm not mad at somebody that gets over, but I think what it's doing is it's reinforcing that Attitude Era style of promo, and I think that I don't like that. I'm tired of that. I liked New Day. I liked what New Day was doing because I
agree with that. I definitely agree with that. New Day, they have a chemistry about themselves, and really what it reminds me of is theater, watching people do improv and watching people, really play off of each other. They have a chemistry that I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and they fly off the cuff, and they incorporate so many different pop culture references that it just seems like really true to them. And that I think is really cool. But when I think of like who my favorite person is on the mic, it's Kevin Owens, hands down, because he's incorporating a style that to me is the most believable. He's doing a very like reality style. It's if you watch, I don't know if you have, but if you go back and you watch like some of the old Ring of Honor promos he used to cut, Kevin Owens would actually talk about like the fucking ROH website and how his name was taken off the forums. Like, it's just very it's very tailored to exactly what's going on. And when he cuts promos now, he's done like his sit downs with Michael Cole. Fuck Michael Cole, but when he sits down with him, Owens is just like really condescending, and it's just. But you would just like you've met people in real life that are fucking Kevin Owens' character, and that's I think that's what makes him like such a believable and good heel, you know. But it has to be it's in a more reality. It's bringing the lens in, you know, and shit like what Enzo and Cass do is like wide angle, you know, bada boom, realest guys in the room, you know, it's stuff.
I feel like you can evolve a product and keep it true to itself at the same time. Like, for example, just throwing this out there, you had the original the original Zelda Ocarina of Time. A lot of people consider it to be like the greatest game of all time. And then you had Majora's Mask, which I like Majora's Mask more. But regardless of what you feel on that, they were very similar. They didn't, you know, deviate too much graphically. They were similar in a lot of ways in the style, in the gameplay, in the fighting, you know, combat and everything. But they were still different games. They were completely different storylines. They did all kinds of new things, but kept true to the old things, and that's what I would like to see WWE do. Not necessarily make another Rock, make another Stone Cold, but make people like Enzo and even Cass. I mean, Cass is a little awkward, like his body language to me, but you know, if you have people like, even then, like even back in the WWE, like in the Attitude Era, people weren't really doing punchlines and stuff like that, which is pretty much, you know, Enzo's thing. So I think there's and even if you look at New Day, you know, they do something different, but they also have some, you know, old characteristics, and you know, just like the mocking and the things that like people like DX used to do back in the day in the Attitude Era, and they still do their own thing, and they have their own chemistry that is very much them and nothing like anything that happened in the Attitude Era. But at the same time, it's not reality like you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, it's. I'm not trying to throw shade on Enzo and Cass at all. If they become white hot,
they are going to listen to this podcast, man. They're going to be pissed off.
I know, right?
They're going to think you're SAWFT soft.
Yeah, I know, dude. I mean, I loved them. I saw them at NXT live. I thought they were great, and I think that I mean, if they become white hot over all to them, I think that you can have different kinds of. I think you can have different kinds of flavors of ice cream in the fucking ice cream parlor, and you know, that's fine. I don't know. I see, while I like Enzo and Cass, the one criticism I would probably put in their direction is just that I think that it harkens back to the Attitude Era style, and I really wish we could distance ourselves from it while still acknowledging it. We've moved away from the 80s era style. We've moved away from the early 90s style. I think
maybe my opinion is just because I'm old and I, you know, grew up and I have a nostalgia with the Attitude Era.
I'm older than you are.
I mean, yeah. I know.
I think...
But I still feel like there is room for the Attitude Era today. And that's probably why, like, that's probably my lack of understanding of the new era, of what like the new generation of wrestling fans might be.
You're probably, and that's probably something you're going to have to do as a fan, and if you don't want to, that's fine, but I think it's going to affect how you see things. If you can't put to bed the Attitude Era, you're probably never going to appreciate a lot of what these guys are doing. It's kind of like, I mean, we were talking about Flair's quote earlier, and you thought he was full of shit about Balor, right?
Yeah.
But that's a way of thinking that guys from his background are gonna have, because they never put that to bed. They never put to bed the idea that a fucking a smaller dude could, which is ironic coming from Flair, because Flair is not exactly the most physically impressive human being on the planet, and yet he was like the 16-time world champion. So kind of, and clearly the 80s and the 90s still has a negative impact on fucking Vince, because he brings in people like fucking Braun Strowman, and now what the fuck are we gonna do with him?
I mean, do you not like Braun?
I would like him if he had a more diversified moveset. If he was like a Matanza, I would probably like. I think Matanza is really over because he fucking beats the shit out of people. Like it just.
I mean I kind of like him, you know, as far as the suplexes and everything are concerned. But he does kind of like move kind of stiff. I'm not really like, I don't know. It's like watching him. He's really slow and also just doesn't really look that, you know.
Matanza to me wrestles like I wish Lesnar fucking would. Like Lesnar, like Lesnar used to. I used to fucking love Lesnar. Now I can't stand him because he throws.
Well, yeah, back in the day though, like Lesnar actually had athletic ability though. That's the difference. I mean, Matanza really doesn't. He doesn't fly around the ring the way that Lesnar used to be able to.
No, you're right. But Matanza, like if you look at the costume that they've put him in, I think immediately of like a Jason or a Michael Myers. And so
I mean, I think his look is incredible. I mean, if I were gonna sell him on his look alone, that's a fucking $1 million, right? You know, I could look at him and immediately put him on the fucking pay-per-view promo. But at the end of the day, it's about, you know, everything else.
Yeah, but he's the guy that, like, because of the look, if he lumbers in the ring and he's just throwing people around, that to me, I'm over. Like,
right?
You sold me, dude, because they've given him this look of a horror movie villain. He doesn't say anything and he just walks in and he just fucking gut wrench suplexes somebody and folds them into a pretzel. Yeah, dude, I'm over the moon. I'm you've sold me. I'm there. And I wish that they would do something like that. They had the look for Strowman. I loved they had him come out with
I'm surprised that Vince hasn't tried to call up Matanza already. I mean, that really seems like right up his alley.
They signed those guys to, I don't know if you know about the contracts, they signed those Lucha Underground dudes too, man. No. But they signed, like, I think Ricochet is signed to like a fucking 7-year contract. So they fucking, if Matanza's signed, don't be surprised if that motherfucker's gonna be there for like fucking 10 years or some shit. But yeah, man, I liked Braun Strowman's look. I loved the mask that they put on him. I wish they would have kept it on when, like, they take the mask off of him. He just looks like another fucking one of the Wyatts, and it's just not that impressive.
Okay, on that note, we've been going on for a long ass time.
Yeah, dude.
Probably gonna edit a lot of this out for the actual interview, but it's been a pleasure talking as always.
Yeah, we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Not sure what topic we'll have, but you know, it could be anything. I'm really looking forward to talking about those chipmunk mating habits.
Yeah, well, I bet you are. I will probably have a stand-in for that one because I really don't want to hear anything. I don't want to know anything that you know about fucking chipmunks and what they do to each other.
Yeah, that was actually the new creative has decided to do that with the WWE because necrophilia doesn't go over as well as it used to.
Oh yeah, so they're gonna do what? Chipmunks having sex with one another?
Yeah, no, actually with Mark Henry, it's gonna be fucking brutal.
So Mark Henry's gonna have sex with chipmunks?
Basically, yeah, that was the visual I had in my head.
It's just
dear God, no.
Why do you have that visual in your head?
Because I'm a fucked up person. I
don't. You know, when you asked me to do this,
chocolate, my man.
And on that note, let's call it there, man. I am Vinny Vincent, and this is Pie Snack Allenson, and we are signing off. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
I think I'm Ric Flair. R.I.P. the Piper, R.I.P. the Road.